Hey, Train Hunt family. Kenton and I, my name is Brian. Wow.
That was good. That was good. Take two.
Remember that one time at band camp?
Oh, yeah. I still have the flute. Oh, this is terrible. This is terrible. All right. I'll give her hell right here. Ready? Hey, Train Hunt family. Welcome back. Kenton here with Brian, that guy over there. We are excited to bring you today's podcast. The main topic we're going to cover is basically your training program, what you should be doing right now, how intense should you be doing it, and what you should be working towards as the hunting season approaches. We also want to cover some other things. We want to recap some of the events that we've already had. We also want to talk about some of the events that are coming up. Right now, I'll be completely transparent with you. I am disappointed in all you guys. Get out there and sign up. I don't know what's stopping you. Even some of you people from the past that have done it before, we don't see your names out there. You guys, Texas is in like 2 weeks. Idaho, guess what? Next weekend. And we don't see people out there that we know are definitely care about their fitness, care about being in shape for hunting, and isn't using Train to Hunt as a measuring stick anymore. So we are really wanting you to get out there and do it. We also want to talk about the Train to Hunt membership. Some of you may not even know, we launched the new membership. It's something that has been a focus of mine since the beginning of the year, is that I want more people training with Train to Hunt, not just being thought of as events, but also as a place where you can come and get your training programs and just become better all around, not just for hunting, but just in life in general. So we want to review. I want to review what we have, Brian, as far as the membership program. I feel like we've done a pretty good job of promoting it, but I just want to recap what we have. You guys,
go for it.
So with the Train to Hunt training membership, all right, if you go to www.traintohunt.com, click on membership, and it'll tell you these exact things. You get a year-round training program, all right, which means you're going to get 6 workouts a week, every week for an entire year, which is great because then, number one, you don't have to make up your training program. And in my eyes, it's one of the biggest benefits. It might be just the best selling point from me, from where I sit, is even, Brian, you're a trainer. How much do you appreciate not having to program your own workouts?
It saves a lot of time, saves a lot of headache, a lot of hassle. If you had workouts already designed, and that's one thing, that's why a lot of people come to me and to other trainers, is that's the biggest thing is what do I do? How do I plan it? And if I am doing it on my own, am I doing it correctly? So what I always say is, if you're going to be spending the time and the effort and the energy to work out, well, then make sure that you're doing it, I guess, to your full potential, so that your workouts are in line with what your goals are. It's like a guy that wants to go out and run a 10K, but he's not doing any running. He's just lifting weights, or whatever the case might be. It's just, you have to make sure that you're training to meet your goals. Your goals and your training should be directly in line. So
absolutely, and it's one of the things that you guys have heard me talk about before, and that is hunting is a specific sport. Now, it's hard for me to even talk about it as a sport because it's so much more than that. There's so much tradition and involved, and just human emotion really wrapped up around sports or around hunting and why we hunt. And traditionally, we think of sport as as a field, something you do on a field or a court. But that's why I started Train to Hunt, because I recognized that there are specific movements involved in hunting that they're not involved in any other sport. The closest thing might be CrossFit, because you have to be able to expect the unexpected and be prepared for everything. But I feel like what separates us from CrossFit is that we kind of know what 80%, 90% of what we can expect out there. It's just a small 10% that we don't need to prepare for. And there's other variations, there's other differences between us and CrossFit, but that's the closest thing out there. So anyway, you get a year-round training program. You get 15% off all Train to Hunt apparel. And if you haven't been to the store and checked out our sweet apparel, you need to. We got shirts, hats, shorts. We got sandbags. You guys, one of the best training tools, I believe, is a weighted sandbag. Don't you think, Brian?
Yeah, it's lifting odd crap. It's not like a barbell. It's not like a dumbbell. You grab it. You're not quite for sure where that weight is going to be at. If it's going to be on one end or the other end of that sandbag or in the center. It's very much what you'd like what you'd run into out in the field. Especially if you get an animal down and you're having to drag around some meat, lift or hoisting some meat up, or even dragging a whitetail out of the woods. It's functional training with the sandbags.
Yeah, it does the best job of simulating dead weight, because the fact of the matter is, when you're hunting, nothing out there really has handles. So, except for your backpack, hopefully. So, you get 15% off all Train to Hunt apparel. You also get access to all our one-click programs. What's a one-click program, you ask? I'm glad you asked. It is a program that's set up specifically for a specific amount of time, that has like some periodization in it. It has some deload weeks. It has they vary from a kind of a strength bias one-click program, which is our high altitude program. We have a program that is designed specifically to get you ready for a Train to Hunt challenge. We have a no shape to mountain shape, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's 16 weeks of training to take you from I haven't been training very much or haven't trained at all to 16 weeks out, I'm going to be ready for a mountain hunt. If anybody out there is looking for a specific one-click program, that's the one. And you get access to that, instant access to that with your membership. We have a kettlebell-only training program. So for those of you who are in love with your kettlebell, we have a program for that to get you in shape and get you stronger and have more endurance around the kettlebell. The other thing that I think are just like cherries on top are things like having access to our members-only Facebook page, where we're going to be making a lot of posts on training and nutrition and gear and backcountry survival techniques and all these educational pieces that you're going to be able to benefit from only if you're a member. We're going to start in July with our members only giveaway, and we're excited to announce this because we're going to start in July with a big one. Everybody who's a member by July 14th. On July 14th, that's the second day of the national championship, we are going to draw a member name and we're going to give away a Vortex spotting scope. All right. So we want to continue this trend, July, August, September, all year round, where we're giving one time a month, we're giving away something cool for a member that they would have to go spend their hard-earned money on. And guess what? Instead of having to do that, just because they're a member, we're going to give it to them. All right. Other things that you get with your membership are the ability to participate in members-only challenges, monthly challenges, where we're going to just basically put out a challenge to the members, say go out, do it, record your time, and everybody who comments underneath this challenge is going to have their name in a drawing, and we're going to draw a prize. It's going to be like a hat or a shirt or something cool, but we want people just to be interactive, right? We want people to have the ability to hold each other accountable, and there's no better way to hold each other accountable than to just report how you did on a workout. So we want to encourage that. Last but not least, any new training programs that myself or Brian or Ryan or anybody else designs for the Train to Hunt community, we are going to give the Train to Hunt members the ability to beta test this training program before we make it public and get your feedback. So you're going to be in the inner circle per se. So you guys, for all of that, you're talking about the year-round training program, the one-click programs, the 15% off apparel, the access to the educational piece at the members only Facebook giveaways, all that stuff is $120 for the whole year. That's $10 a month. I mean, think about what you spend $10 a month on. I always say that you need to just prioritize your money. You know, if you don't pay for your health now, you're going to pay for your health later, right?
Exactly right. And Kenton, I know what you don't spend $10 a month on, and that's coffee.
I don't spend $10 a month on coffee. and I also don't spend $10 a month on hair product.
There you go. That is how you can, that's a perfect way for people to save money to be able to purchase the membership, is just shave your head.
Shave your head, cut costs on the hair product, boom. Stop shaving, no more razors, no more shaving cream, boom. $10 a month, now you're a member, now you can win a spotting scope.
There you go.
Gosh, Brian, that's insightful. There we go. So no excuses. Become a Train to Hunt member. Train with us. You guys, we are trainers first. Some of you know Brian as a trainer. That's what he currently does. He has a training studio. He sees people face to face, and he makes them, cry, sweat, bleed, and then he gives them a T-shirt. Oh, puke, and then he gives them a T-shirt.
Puke. Yeah.
But some of you may not know that that's my background. I didn't go to college to be a event coordinator. This is something that just came about after I started training people online, and I've been training people for a long, long time, and I'm very passionate about it. And I really am passionate about trying to get people out there training for their goals. And I know many of you have left your high school or college sports behind you. You're looking for that next thing. This is that next thing. If you love to hunt, let's get ready for a hunting season and a Train to Hunt challenge.
And Kenton, I think the big thing is, which I did a group workout this past weekend with my team, and I'm pretty blessed to have a good group of guys and gals that I train with, and that have the ability to help them succeed with Train to Hunt and also their hunts in the fall. But I realize that not everybody out there across America has a group of like-minded hunters that want to be fit and want to be athletic and train for their hunts. And that's really, I think, where this membership is going to play a big role. It creates that community. It creates encouragement for one another. Just all that kind of stuff for people, that might be in rural America or in a place where there's not a lot of hunters or hunter athletes. And that's where the membership, I think, is really going to play a big role for those people to keep the motivation for people to help motivate and encourage one another, I think. So
yeah, absolutely. So you guys support yourself, support us, become a member today. All right. So Brian, let's recap some events we've done so far. We've done California, Arizona, Oregon, and you and I got a chance to do Colorado Springs together. All of those events have been really good. I do think that the changes that we made this year, running more people in a heat, it has really sped things up. For those of you that may be listening to this that have done one in the past, 3-4 years ago, there isn't much standing around anymore. We blow through those things, and there's a lot less standing around. And the Saturday night socials have been really, really a big hit, giving people the ability to, what are your thoughts, Brian? I think that because you've seen both sides of the fence now. You've been a participant, and now you're running them. Like, what do you think is the major difference between the years past and now? Right.
Well, you hit the nail on the head there in terms of, I guess, having that social time in the afternoon, on Saturday afternoon and evening. Especially last year when we had the challenge, the mountain course, and the 3D shoot just back to back. There was really no time to really take in the event and take in what's going on and to cheer on your friends or family. There just wasn't that time, because once you went, like, you were gone for a long time then.
Yeah.
But you could have, if you're in a later heat, there's a lot of sitting around, and especially in Wisconsin last year, it was 100 degrees just about, and the guys and gals that were in those later heats, they were already somewhat fatigued just because it was so hot and humid that whole day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we're running, like in Colorado Springs, we had over 60 people, and we got all 60 of them done in, I think, under 3 hours.
Yeah, it was under 3
whereas
hours.
In the past, that would have taken, probably 6-7 hours to get through.
Yeah.
But really, I think the awesome thing is just the camaraderie and the chance to hang out with people afterwards. Having a 3D shoot on Sunday, it's a little bit more relaxed. People can take that in and enjoy that a little bit more. I think the complaint, or maybe one of the issues of having a 2-day event and traveling and whatnot, is kind of a moot point now. It's not, when it was just a 1-day event, people were traveling home on Sunday anyways. Now it's just, instead of getting home, Sunday afternoon, maybe you're getting home Sunday evening. Depending on travels and stuff like that. So, I personally, I like the 2-day events. Even competing the last few years in the 1-day events, I just like the 2-day events, and there's just more to do and more to take in then. So.
Yep, I agree, and we're really looking forward to these next few events. We have plenty of events left. We got Idaho coming up in a couple of weeks, and then Texas, and then hopefully New York. If we can get people to sign up for New York, it's always a travesty. I like it's really hard for me to set up an event, go through all the hoops, and you did most of that yourself, Brian. Setting up the location and making a deal with Swain and making sure you have targets and making sure that you put time aside to travel out there and all that, and then having just a low turnout. And like we were talking about earlier, it's really hard for us to figure out. It's hard for me to figure out how come people aren't coming. And there's got to be a reason. Because there's thousands of bow hunters in that area, and I can't figure out why people aren't putting aside time to come out and check their fitness and see if it's working for them. Whether it be just life is happening, maybe it's just a bad weekend for them. Maybe they haven't heard about it. Anyway, I just hope that we can get enough people out there.
Right. And yeah, you're right. I mean, we have just over a week that we need to get 20 more people signed up for New York in order to make it happen, in order just to cover our costs of having the event there, of my travel expenses to get out there. We need 35 people to cover that stuff. Yeah. Preferably more. Because I don't like to work for free, nor does anybody else. But you know what? We'll come out there if that's what it means, is just to break even. I'm cool with that, because it's a great time. It gets more people involved. But you know what? We've tried New York. This is the second time that we've tried New York, and people in the East want us to be there. But then when we are, we're just not getting a response. So people have to realize that we're not going to be in everybody's backyard. You're going to have to travel to get to some of these events. The last 2 years, I've traveled to, to Texas, to Colorado, to Pennsylvania. People travel a long ways to these events. If it's not in your backyard, make it happen. Make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, that's about as angry as you'll see us.
On camera, anyways. On camera.
Yes. On a lighter note, if you are signed up, you probably have been training, and that's going to be our next topic, is training. Exactly what the meat of this podcast is going to be about, and it's about training and what we're 3 months out from hunting season, 4 for some people, but what should I have been doing? What should I be doing now, and what should I be doing in the future? I'll start this off by just saying that for the first few months of the part of the year, what you want to do is you want to analyze. You basically want to figure out what your weaknesses are, and we all know what our weaknesses are. And if you're not sure, just think to yourself, man, what do I hate to do? And those are probably your weaknesses. If you hate cardio, it's probably your weakness. If you hate stretching or doing any mobility work, that's probably your weakness. If you hate lifting weights, it's probably because you're not very strong. So you should have been working on about 80% of your time should have been devoted to working on your weaknesses. All right. And at this point, we're kind of in a transition period where you should still be working on those weaknesses about 50% of the time, but you should be transitioning into the more sport specific movements, meaning more time in your pack, more step ups, more sandbag work, ground to shoulder, or, working with the sandbag a lot more because it's more dead weight. Shooting your bow in a stressful situation, meaning basically do a few burpees and shoot, or run 200 yards and shoot, or do some get ups and shoot, and working on that. You should always be working on your shooting technique and always be working on your shooting mantra to be able to calm yourself down, whether you're using box breathing or any other breathing techniques, and then some sort of point of focus that transitions you from fitness, basically working your butt off and trying to get to a certain spot, transitioning to now I'm a shooter and I need to focus on making a good shot. And Brian, could you help? Let's break it down for him a little bit as far as like talking about macro cycles and deloading weeks and intensity levels, and let's break it down for him a little bit. When you have let's just do it this way. If you have a client right now that comes into you that says, "Hey, I've been working on these things. I'm looking for like a Montana hunt, for example, a Montana hunt in September." What kind of program would you have them doing? Let's just say for the next 8 weeks.
Yeah. Well, if we have 8 weeks left, and let's just assume that they've been doing some general conditioning and they're not, coming off of the couch. I would definitely start ramping up their time, like you said, ramping up their time in their pack, wearing the boots. I think, we've kind of touched on this a little bit in the past, is make sure you're training with the gear that you're going to be hunting with. So you know how it feels, how, the boots are going to feel, how the pack is going to feel. Train with different weight in your pack. Don't always just go out with 20, 30 pounds. Every once in a while, throw some heavy weight in there, because if you get an animal down, you're going to have probably 80 to 100, maybe even more weight than that in your pack. And you got to get a feel for how that is going to be riding on your back and on your hips.
So Brian, let me interrupt you real quick, because I know that these people are going to have this question right here. How often? Like, how often should I do a light pack versus and then how often should I be doing a heavy pack?
Right. So there's, a lot of different philosophies on how you can train. There's a lot of ways to get from A to Z. Okay. I'm one to say it's better to do lower intensity work, but train more frequently and allow your body to recover, than it is to do really hard, long, intense workouts, and then it takes your body a week to recover. Well, over time, you're not getting in that training time, because let's say you do a 2 to 3 hour long workout one day and it just totally blows your body, and now you can't work out, for 4 or 5 days. Whereas if you do maybe 45-minute to 60-minute workouts every day, well, now you're getting in more time training, more time under stress and under tension in the long run than what you are by doing long, hard workouts. But with that said, though, you do need to incorporate those long, hard, intense workouts. I would say maybe one every month. You could even maybe do one every 3 weeks, depending if you are conditioned. But you just have to listen to your body. And you have to then realize that week after you do what we call like an overreaching workout or overtraining workout, where you're going above and beyond what you'd normally do, just realize that you need a week of deloading then. A week where you're allowing your body to recover. So instead of, if you're working out 3 to 5 days a week, and after that hard workout, maybe you still keep that 3 to 5 days, but it's at a lower intensity. So instead of trying to, to be at that 80, 90, or 100% intensity level, depending on what you're doing, you drop that down and allow your body to recover. And you listen to it. If your legs are really sore or if your back is sore, then that might be the week, Kenton, to work on your mobility and your flexibility and do some prehab stuff. and allow your body, allow your muscles and your tendons to recover. So, but if you had that 8 weeks, definitely be working on hiking, on step ups. Getting a box and doing some step ups with your pack, and strengthening up the upper body using those walking sticks. Most hunters now use walking sticks. Get those out and try those out. But yeah, good old push-ups and pull-ups sometimes. It all depends on what you have available for you to use. You don't need, to be honest with you, you don't need a gym membership. You don't need all the dumbbells and barbells and stuff. That's nice to have, and if you have it, great. Use it, utilize it. But you don't always need that,
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And just to kind of simplify, and correct me, Brian, jump in here, but when Brian was talking about like overreaching and deloading, basically what we're talking about is you kind of want to break up. If you have a whole year to train for a hunting season, say, all right, what you want to do is you want to break these into micro these little cycles where you're going to do like 4 weeks, 6 weeks of this, and then you're going to deload, which means as you progress through these 6 weeks, you're going to progressively get harder. You're going to start I'll just use a real simple thing. Like you start off by doing, maybe if you're doing your runs in your workout, you start with 100 meters, and then you do 200 meters, and then you do 300 meters. And then by week 4, you're doing 400 meters. And by week 5 and 6, maybe you're doing those 400 meters with a load, and you're running with a load. And week 6 is this overreaching week where the intensity is way up. Your workload is way up. Your intensity is way up. And then after that week of overreaching, you have to basically deload, which doesn't mean stop. It doesn't mean stop working out. What it means is you back off. You take the load off, and you run the 300 meters, and then the next workout you do the 200 meters, and it's nice and easy. The intensity is way back. So your intensity kind of ramps up, and then it peaks out at that overreaching week, and then you have to deload and let your body heal without stopping your training cycles, right? And then once you reach the end of that deloading week, then you start your next cycle, which maybe you're going to focus more on strength, or maybe you're going to start with you're going to back off to maybe a 200 meter run, but it's going to be loaded. But what you're trying to do is you're just trying to, it's basically just stress and adapt, right, Brian? So for those of you right now who are looking for, okay, Kent and Brian, what do I do right now? What do I do? Here's what I would do. I would set up your next training cycle, 4 to 6 weeks, and just ramp it up each week until you hit that 4th week or 6th week. And that 6th week, you really want to push it hard, and you want to go, 2 or 3 days, and then after that, you got to deload. You got to let your body heal. What I see, Brian, is I see too often, and when you were talking, I heard the CrossFitter in me saying, you know what? That's for sissies, man. We're talking, let's go 100 miles an hour every day. So what if you're sore? Warm up, do your mobility, do your foam rolling. You'll stay injured. You're not going to get injured, and then just put the hammer down. And here's what I'll say to that. If I was 25 years old, I could put the hammer down a lot more often than I can now, because I'm 45. And whether I want to believe it or not, that's the fact. So if you're a younger listener, 20 to 25, and you have a good athletic background, and you're used to high intensity, you can do more high intensity more often. But if you're as you get older, you just can't. And stay safe. So it's at your own risk.
Ken, you're exactly right there. And that, but I would say this to those young guys that are doing that, and there will be a price to pay.
They will.
Because you and I are both walking examples of that. We both have our injuries. We both have limitations. You're 45. Don't look a day over 55.
Yes. Thanks, buddy.
But I just turned 40, and I have, probably more injuries than what I should have, because I was young and dumb when I was in my 20s and lifted. heavy, thinking that I could do it, but I'm paying that price now.
Yeah.
So I'm under the mantra of train smarter rather than harder. Okay?
Yeah.
There's a trying to train smart or train hard, and that's definitely in the plan, but you got to be smart about how you do it, though.
Absolutely. And I think that we just hit on how to be smart about it. And that is train hard, get some repetitions in, lots of reps, low intensity. And then, maybe you're not doing as many reps, but you're higher intensity, and then peak out and then deload. And that deload week is is the smart part.
Right.
It's the smart part. It's really the deload.
We talked about this in a prior podcast, I believe, but I want to touch on it again now too, is rather if you're training to peak for your hunt or you're training to peak for a train to hunt competition, nationals, whatever it might be, that last week, really that last 2 weeks before your big event, that all your training should be done by then. The stuff in that last 2 week, then that 2 week time period before your event or your hunt is just kind of maintenance and yes, doing workouts, doing exercises to get the heart rate up, to get the blood pumping, but you're not gaining any fitness in that last 2 weeks. If you go out and push yourself hard, you're doing yourself a disservice. It takes time for your body to fully recover. Okay,
and you're not going to lose anything either.
Exactly. Yeah. If anything, you're going to feel better. If you're forced to sit out that last 2 weeks before an event, you're going to do better. You're going to perform better than if you trained hard up until that event. It's just a fact of how your muscles, how your anatomy works and recovers, and also just mentally too. Like if you've had a week or a week and a half where you're just kind of doing some easy workouts, you're going to be chomping at the bit to get after it. So
that's right. Dog in a cage, baby. Dog in a cage.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And something we'll cover in our next podcast, Brian, is the nutrition piece, because the nutrition piece is really a key component to maximizing your fitness sessions. Yeah. I mean,
I think you're exactly right there in that. I've been doing a lot of research on the nutrition, just refreshing my memory on stuff for nationals that's coming up, because the national championship is a lot different than their qualifiers. It's going to be a lot longer. So helping my guys and gals out with optimal nutrition for sports performance is what I like to call it. It's not nutrition for weight loss. It's not nutrition for for being healthy. It is nutrition so that your body can run at the highest level it can for that 1 day or 2 days that your event is going to be. Okay, you're going to be eating stuff that you may not normally be eating, or you're going to be eating more or less or whatever it might be. But I think we do need to do a podcast on that, because I think the nutrition is where a lot of people are lacking, especially when it comes to the national event, and realizing they're going to be active pretty much all day long. And I'm a fan of the keto diet. I'm a fan of, the paleo diet, all that kind of stuff. But that's only going to bring you to a certain level. Okay, that's going to help for weight loss or building muscle mass, all that type of stuff. But to perform at your 100%, you got to have probably more carbs than what a lot of people, at least at this day and age, are eating with their low carb, high fat diets.
Absolutely. So. And that's a whole nother podcast. We'll get to that, you guys. And we're excited about bringing that one to you too. As far as your workouts go, we're going to wrap this up a little bit. All right. We're going to wrap this up, Brian. We've been on here a little bit. So in recap, right now you should be doing, cycles and moving towards, at the closer you get to the competition or the hunt, you should be doing more of the specific movements that you're going to be doing in that event, whether it be the train to hunt challenge or a hunt. And I would argue that any movements that you're doing at a train to hunt challenge are probably going to transfer to the field very well. That's why we have them there. So
exactly.
If you have questions, you guys don't be afraid to drop us a message on Facebook or Instagram, or email us at info@traintohunt.com. We get those emails, and we'd be happy to share any information or answer any questions you have. Also, leave a comment below, because if you have a question, leave it in the comment, and because then we can answer it. And there's probably 5 other people out there who are just too shy to ask us, that we can answer that question as well. And I guess the last thing I'll say is, if there's a topic you really want us to cover, please put it in the comments. Ask us. We'd love to. It's one thing Brian and I are both very fanatical about. It is research and knowledge. And if we don't know, we'll find out, and we'll get somebody on here that knows better than us. So that's the last thing I got. What do you got, Brian? Last thing.
Train hard, train smart, train often. I don't know. I just made that up.
I did a whole series. I did like this whole series of like train hard, train smart, train to hunt.
Nice.
And maybe I should get back to that. Oh, by the way, for you members out there, here's a nice little tidbit. I'm going to start doing daily videos that coincide with workouts and putting it on the Train to Hunt members only Facebook page so that you can see examples of me doing the workouts, so that you can see like exactly how the movements go without having to go to some of those demo videos. So starting next week, starting Monday, I'm going to have a video up every day, and we'd love to hear from the members. You guys, you're important to us. The whole community, you guys are all important to us. You're the reason we do what we do. We appreciate any feedback, any ideas you have as to why people aren't showing up for our events. We'd love to hear.
Right. We're stumped.
As smart as we are, we don't have all the answers. So we appreciate all y'all. Did I just say all y'all? I did.
That's okay.
I sure appreciate all of you fine men and women out there. And all right, we'll talk to you later.
All right. Well, peace out.